very warm welcome to you all. A very warm welcome to Journal Talks. This is the 38th talk in the series, and we are very happy to present today Kerala Temples, a unique symbiosis of architecture and sculptural art. The Kerala Museum is a vibrant beacon of the arts in Kochi. Set up in 1987, it's the brainchild of R. Madhavan Nayar, who even then recognized the need for a cultural institution to provide experiential learning in history, the fine arts, and performing arts in the city. In 2022, to mark its 35th year in existence, the museum launched its flagship program on Kerala history called the Janal Digital Archive. The program aims to create innovative, engaging, and experiential digital exhibitions by drawing on historical archives and microhistories of people and communities from Kerala. The Janal Talk series is part of the programming around the Janal Digital Archives. The Geojit Foundation supports Janal Archives and builds on the museum's founder, Madhavan Nayar's dream of making history accessible to all. Today, in the 38th talk, we look at the topic Kerala Temples, a unique symbiosis of architecture and sculptural art, brought to us by Dr. Preeta Nayar. Let me introduce the speaker. Dr. Preeta Nayar is an associate professor in the Department of Archaeology, University of Kerala. She holds PG and PhD degrees in archaeology from the MS University of Baroda. Her primary research areas include Hindu iconography and the personal adornments of the early historic period. She has received fellowships from the Indian Council for Historical Research and the Ministry of Culture, Government of India. Dr. Preeta has contributed to archaeological research at the MS University of Baroda, Kerala University, and the Kerala Council for Historical Research. She served as the Antiquity Registrar and the Co-director for 6 seasons of the Pattanam Archaeological Excavations, studying beads from various archaeological sites in Kerala, Tamil Nadu, and Oman, including comparative studies for Pisa University, Italy. Dr. Preeta's notable works include Vaishnava sculptures of Kerala, an iconographic study, and carved wonders in wood, rare sculptures of Kerala. She has edited 10 volumes on topics such as syncretism, mythical hybrid beings, and demonology in South and Southeast Asian sculptural art, and served as the editor of the Proceedings of Indian Art History Congress and The Heritage. Her lectures and publications focus on Indian iconography, temple architecture, and early historic period adornments, making significant contributions to archaeological scholarship. Before the lecture, I want to remind you of a few house rules. Please keep your mics on mute for the duration of the lecture so that the speaker is audible to everyone. The lecture will be for 45 minutes, followed by a Q&A, where we will take a maximum of 5 questions. You can please drop your questions in the chat and they'll be read out at the end of the lecture. Everyone has their own beliefs and perspectives. Let's make an effort to respect others while sharing our own views. I now warmly welcome Dr. Preeta Nayar to Journal Talks to deliver the talk today.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to have been invited by the Kerala Museum to make a presentation for this general program. Let me start straight away with my slides. I will share my slides. So that my topic is basically the temple architecture of Kerala, with a bit of emphasis on the sculptures placed in the architectural landscape. Let me start with how that architecture has begun. The first worshipping edifice of Kerala was cows. Cows are actually the sacred groves, where that deity is symbolically presented on a platform. The cave temples and rocket temples followed these cow temples, and they represent the earliest phase of temple architecture in Kerala. These cave temples and rocket temples were built during the period in between 6th and 8th century CE. The rocket temples were carved on single colossal granite rocks like this one, which is located in Vizhinjam. And these rocket temples carried carved sculptures and images of the deities. This structural temples, which followed the cave temples and rocket temples, they evolved in different stages by the modifications and the renovations. The first phase or the early phase is in between 800 and 1000 CE, and this classification or the division of these phases was done by H. Sarkar. The earliest temples or the temples, the early phase of the temples, they possessed a Shrikovil. Shrikovil could be square, circular, or apsidal in shape. And some of the Shrikovils have a projected mandapa, and which is also known as Mukha Mandapa. Some had detached Namaskara Mandapam. A quadrangular Nalambalam enclosing the Shrikovil, Namaskara Mandapam, and Balikkals also can be seen in the early phase temples. This is followed by the middle phase temples, and the time period is in between 1001 to 1300 CE. The main features of the middle phase temples are the introduction of elliptical shaped Shrikovil, then circumambulatory path around the Garbhagriha, development of Sarvadobhadra type of temples, like the openings on the four sides. Some Sarvadobhadra types possessed 2 to 3 doors and 1 or 2 Ghanadwaras. Mostly with a detached Namaskara Mandapa, these temples may be having. And another feature was the placing of Buddha figures supporting the Pranala. Carving can be also seen on the Hastihasta banister. In the last phase of temples, the period is in between 1301 to 1800 CE. This period or this phase show the introduction of copper sheet for roofing, subsidiary shrines, Vilakkumadam, Kootambalam, Deepastambam, Dvajastambam, Anakuttal, outer wall, and Gopuram. We will see all these part in the later slides. In Kerala temples, it has got a unique kind of architecture. It's very much different from that of the South Indian Dravidian kind of temple architecture and North Indian Nagara type of temple architecture. And here in the Kerala temples, the construction is dominated by the wood. It is supported by stone and metal. You can see here that use of the metals, and here the base of the temple is mainly with granite and laterite, and the roof is made by that wood and covered with the metal roofs or the tile roofs. Teak or Tectona grandis or the jackfruit or jack and aini are the main woods used in temple construction and decoration. Crafts are seen in the form of wooden panels around the Shrikovils, heavy beams, rafters, pillars, brackets, and ceilings. And this is that aerial view of a temple, typical temple, mainly in that last phase. You can see all the components of the temples here. And we will be seeing all these different components and how the sculptures are placed in this architectural landscape. And this is the typical layout of a Kerala temple. It has got Pancha Pragaras or the 5 enclosures. Starting from the central, the central-most Pragara is known as Andar Mandala or Agatte Balivattam. It contains a Shrikovil and its outer space. The outer space accommodates Balikkals, Namaskara Mandapam, and a temple well. And around that, there is Andhara, or the second enclosure, second Pragara. It has got Nalambalam, Valiyambalam, Tirapalli, and Mulayara. And the third Pragara is Madhyahara. It has got Vilakkumadam. We'll be seeing all these components later. Then it will be much more clear. And the fourth Pragara is called Bahyahara or Puratte Balivattam. The outer enclosure and circumambulatory path, Balikkal Mandapam, Valiya Balikkal, Balikkals, Deepastambam, Kootambalam, subsidiary shrines, Dvajastambam, and Anakottil are seen in this Bahyahara or Puratte Balivattam. Now the outer wall is known as Maryada or Purammadil. It has got Gopuram. It's not necessary that all the temples do have this Gopuram, but the Maryada normally has got a Gopuram and Uttupura. And all the components may not be seen in all the temples. Now let us go into the temple. As per the tradition, before entering into the temple, we have to wash our hands and face. And I will take you after washing hands and face into the temple. Now, the outer wall or the Maryada will be like this one. All the temples and most of the temples may have this outer wall or the Maryada. It is to protect the temple. And the Maryada or the outer wall can be presented in different way. And this is one type. It is known as the Anamadil or Anapallamadil. It's like the belly of you can just see the shape of that. It's like the belly of the elephant. And some of the wealthy temples like that of the Guru Ayush Sri Krishna temple do have mural presentations on the outer. And this is another kind of presentation of the wall, the outer wall. This is from Tripurithana Mahavishnu temple. Now this outer wall or at the four cardinal directions or two directions, you may have that Gopuram. It is the entrance gateway to the temple enclosure. Major temples will have four Gopurams at four cardinal directions. These Gopuram can be two-storied or three-storied like this one. And it may have a Srimukham or this structure is known as the Srimukham. It also may have sometimes the sculptures like this. You can see here some sculptures. Srimukham has got, this is Kiradarjuniam scenes depicted in the Srimukham. Now, in that Gopura Mandapam base also, sometimes you can see the sculptures like this one, Ganapati, Gopika Vastrapaharanam, Tadagavatham, etc. are presented here. Some temples do have this Gopura Mandapam, the base, which is made out of the granite stone. It has got the sculptural depiction. And this is the door of the Gopura Mandapam. And here too, on the lintel, sometimes you can see the sculptures. Here Gajalakshmi is shown. And this is from Kasargod Cheruvattur Veerabhadra temple. And through this wall, we are entering into the temple. And this is the wall or that wall, the main gate. And when you enter into the Gopura Mandapam, or the inside the Gopura Mandapam, on the ceiling also, you can sometimes see the sculptures. So this is the corridor from that outer wall. Through this corridor, we are entering into the temple. And you see, this is how some of the temples do have Gopura Mandapam decorations. On the ceilings, you can see some of the decorations. On the pillar brackets also, there are decorations, floral or sometimes that some anecdotes in the Puranas or the myths are presented on the Gopura Mandapam ceiling. And this is another example of the decorations seen on the Gopura Mandapam. And some of them are very much decorated. Like you can see here, the ceiling is presented with Ashtadikpalas. And here you can see that Kiradarjuniam story is presented as the brackets. This is the very well-known story, the Palari Madhura. So in this way, some of that Gopura Mandapam ceilings are very much decorated. These all are that wooden sculptures. This is that a view of a temple, typical the third phase temple. It has got all the important components. And this is that Madhyahara, and these are the other 5 pragaras. And we will be through this door that we will be entering into the temple. Now we are inside this pragara. So this is how it is when we enter into the second or the third pragara. Fourth pragara. It will be like this. It is known as Madhyahara or the Puratte Balivattam. It has got the circumambulatory path. You can see the circumambulatory path here. And it may have a Balikkal Mandapam with Balikkal, then Deepastambam, Ekutambalam, subsidiary shrines, Dojastambam, and Anakutte. So this is the Anakutte. It is a place where elephants take position during the festivals. That is why this structure has got the name Anakuttal. It is also known as Nadapandal. And this is used for functions like marriage, Choruna, Tulabharam, and other rituals. So this is the outer wall, and we entered into that, and you can see that Anakuttal here. And next structure is the Vajastambam, or it is known as the flagstaff. And here a pillar is used for hosting the flag during the festivals. It is located outside the Balikkal mandapam. It is usually made of wood and covered with copper, panchaloha, silver, bronze, or gold. It bears the Vahana of the main deity. Ashtadikpala idols are seen depicted at the bottom part of the Dvajastamba. And here you can see that Vahana of the respective deities on the Dvajastambam of the temples. If it is a Shiva temple, you can see that Nandi, the Vahana of Shiva, on the Dvajastambam. The presentation of Garuda naturally indicates that the temple is dedicated to Vishnu. And this is the Shasta temple. And you can see the holes on the flags. And this is the base of the flagstaff or the Dvajastambam. And it has got, in most of the cases, this may have the Ashtadikpalas like Kubera, Yama, Indra, Varuna, Ishana, Agni, Vayu, and Nirti. And this is how the directions of these Ashtadikpalakas. And these two also has got the presentation of Ashtadikpalas. These are some of the Deepastambams. In different regions, you can see different types of Deepastambams. And these are seen in the Alapura region. This is from the Thrissur region. And you can see sometimes on that Devastambam also the depictions. Here a devotee is shown with Anjali Mudra. See here also some sculptures are there, relief sculptures are there. Now coming to the next edifice, Balikkal Mandapam. This is the Balikkal Mandapam. It is a mandapam where the principal Balikkal or the Valiya Balikkal is located. This Balikkal Mandapam faces the sanctum sanctorum. The ceilings may have the wooden sculptures of the Ashtadikpalas or the Navagrahas. The beams may have the mythical story panels. Brackets may possess divine and semi-divine sculptures. And sometimes the Balikkal may be outside this mandapam. You can see in this temple, this is that Dvajastambam and this is the Balikkal mandapam. It's mandapam, it's also known as the Agra mandapam, and you can see the Balikkal in between that. So sometimes this Balikkal will be inside this mandapam, and then that mandapam can be known as the Balikkal mandapam. And this is the Balikkal, Valiya Balikkal. You can see that components of the Balikkal. It has got all these sections with different names like Paduka, Jagati, Kubutapati, etc. So this is actually a replica of the Shrikovil. And you can see that sometimes the small Balikkals around this Valiya Balikkal. And this Valiya Balikkal, they represents the Senapati or the commander-in-chief of the main deity in the sanctum sanctum, like Hari Senan for the Vishnu temples, Hara Senan for the Shiva temple, Vighna Senan Ganesha, and Shastra Senan Shasta. So depending upon that which deity is in the sanctum sanctorum, different types of, the name of the Balikkal or that representation of the Balikkal may be different. And this is the Sri Mukham or the Mukhap of the Balikkal Mandapam. It also may have sometimes the sculptures. You can see here some sculptures and the decorations. Now we are entering into the Balikkal Mandapam. So this is how the Balikkal Mandapams are. And in all these three Balikkal Mandapams, you can see that Valiya Balikkals inside it. And you can see the ceilings also. Sometimes the ceilings are very much decorated. We will see that decorated Balikkals. This is comparatively plain, but you can see some of the bracket figures in wood. See here, it's very much decorated, that the ceiling of the Balikkal. You can see Ashtadikpalas or sometimes the Navagrahas on the ceiling. And these are the brackets of that Balikkal Mandapam. Here too, some Puranic or that Bhagavata or from some of the Puranas, the anecdotes are presented. And here too, as the minute the panels, some story is depicted. This is another example of the decoration of the Balikkal mandapam, ceilings with the Ashtadikpalas and some on the brackets also you can see the depiction of the deities or the scenes. Another example of the decorations in the Balikkal mandapam. This is from Vellora Bhagavati temple from Kannur. And this is how the bracket figures are there in some of the temples. Bracket figures in the Balikkal mandapam. This is from Tiruvangadu Jagannatha temple, which is located in Kannur. This scene is related to the Dakshayagam. And this is another example, the bracket figures and other kind of decoration. Sometimes you may see that mythical animals or the floral decorations, etc. Some of them are painted also, you can see. Apart from the sculptures, paintings also are there. The pillar capitals, here you can see the depiction of Mohini and Shiva. So this way of different anecdotes, presentation of the anecdotes are seen on the capitals and the ceilings of Balikkal mandapam. Now, this is another aerial view of the temple. This is from Tirumattakkod Anjamurthy temple located in Palam. And from that, through the Balikkal, this is Balikkal mandapam. And here, the main Balikkal is outside. But this being a Shiva temple, you can see the depiction of Nandi here. In Shiva temples, the mandapam may accommodate Nandi. In such cases, the Balikkal may be seen outside the mandapam. And Nandi may be also seen in that the Pradakshina Pada. So this is how. Now coming to the Kootambalam or the temple theatre. And this Kootambalam used to stage classical performing arts. It's positioned at the southeast corner of the east-facing temples and at the northwest corner of the west-facing temples. It is usually in rectangular shape. This is from Vadakkannatha temple, the Kootambalam of Vadakkannatha temple. It has a Rengamandapam or stage raised from the rest of the floor and an Aniyara or the green room and space around for the audience. Kootambalams are often decorated with wood carvings and wooden sculptures. So this is the stage or the Rengamandapam, and behind that there will be Aniyara. And in this Kootambalam, the classical art is performed like the Kudiyattam, Kathakali. This is that Kootambalam of Guruvayur temple. And this is another example of Kootambalam. You can see the decorations on the ceiling. This is from Kidangur Subramanya temple. You can see a Miravar kept in that Kootambalam. This is an example of the decorated ceilings of the Kootambalam from the Kasaragod district, Madhyahara Kshetrapala temple. See here that the Ashtadikpalas are there and that Puranic stories are represented or depicted in the brackets. And here also in the wooden panels, scenes from Puranas, Ramayana or Bhagavata, etc., the Krishna Leela, etc., are present. Apart from that, floral decorations, the depictions of the mythical animals, etc., are also seen. This is another example. See here, this shows in the bracket shows the Dakshayagam story. Kiradarjuniyam, Dakshayagam, etc. are the most popular stories for that commonly represented stories in this. This is a scene from Dakshayagam. This is here, it is shown as the bracket figure. And this bracket figure is supported by the head of the Gaja, and some faces also are seen alternate to these bracket figures. And another example of depicting some stories as the bracket figures. And these are examples of the pillars of the Balikkal mandapam. This is from Haripad, not Balikkal mandapam, Kootambalam. This is from Haripada Subramanya temple, and this is from Kidangur Subramanya temple. Just to see here, a hunting scene is presented in a square section of the pillar. The wooden pillar is highly decorated. Now, another Madhyahara, the third Pragara. So we covered the fourth Pragara, and then coming to the Madhyahara, one of the components of the Madhyahara is Vilakkumadam, and the other one is Kootambalam that we have already seen. Vilakkumadam accommodates a galaxy of oil lamps. You can see that here. Technically, it lines the outer walls of the inner Pragara. only major temples do have Vilakkumadam. There will be an open space between the Nalambalam and Vilakkumadam in major temples. So this is an example of the Vilakkumadam. It is in Vadakkunnatha. You can see here the Vilakkumadam, galaxy of lamps. When it is lit, it will be like this. Now, this also may have a mukham or the Sri Mukham, and it may accommodate the deities like this, the sculpture deities. Here, Brahma is shown, and you can see Nataraja Shiva here and some mythical animals. Now, from there, from the Vilakkumadam, we are entering into the next prakara. This is a view from outside the Nalambalam, showing the Nalambalam. This edifice is known as, the structure is known as the Nalambalam. And from the outside, that when we see that this is the third prakara, and from there, when we enter into this portion, into the door, this is known as that Nalambalam. We will see that the details of the Nalambalam. This is the Nalambalam corridor. And when you enter into that, you can see some Balikkal, Sopanam, Mukhamandapam, etc. Now, on the door lintel of this Nalambalam, you may sometimes see the sculptures like this. And this is that Ananta Shayi Vishnu. You can see that he is offering flowers to the Shivalingam kept there. This is a very peculiarity of the Kerala temples, like without any sectarian feeling. You may see Vishnu sculptures in Shiva temples and Shiva sculptures in the Vishnu temples. And this also shows that non-sectarian representation. Vishnu offering flowers to the Shivalingam. Now, this is the second prakara or Antahara. This has got Nalambalam. This is the Nalambalam, which is seen around on the cardinal directions of the Nalambalam. That the structure will be very broad, and that part is known as the Valiyambalam. Apart from that Valiyambalam, there are Titappallis and Mulayaras in that Antahara or the second prakara. And this is the Nalambalam or Valiyambalam. You can see this is how it is. And you can see that near to the entrance, sometimes it may have that entrance at 4 cardinal directions when you enter, and these places may be very broad. And that side is known as Valiyambalam. Nalambalam, it is also known as Chuttambalam, is a pillared open hall like this one, which surrounds the Shrikovil and Namaskara Mandapam. The broad side of the Nalambalam facing the Shrikovil is called Valiyambalam. Here also you can see sometimes it is will be in an elevated position. The devotees used to sit here, and sometimes some of the pujas also will be conducted in this Valiyambalam. The corridors of the Valiyambalam permits devotees to enter and exit through the main gate. And this is another view, another example of the Nalambalam or the Chuttambalam. This is the Valiyambalam. You can see this place is slightly broader. And here you can see that the chanda, so that some musical instruments or the performance instruments will be placed here, and some of the rituals also may take place here. And this is that one part of the Nalambalam, or also known as the Chuttambalam. It's an open kind of cloistered hall with the pillars. Sometimes the pillars may be made out of stone or wood. And these are the examples of the stones pillars of that Nalambalam or that Valiyambalam. You can see the depiction of the deities, depiction of Kartikeya or the Subramanya on the peacock, and you can see some other Deepa Lakshmi is also present. This is how some of the pillars of that Nalambalam or Valiyambalam. These are some other more examples of that Valiyambalam pillars. And this is the representation of Ksharabhesha, a form of Shiva, the Venugopala. You can see some other deities like Narasimha, Yoga Narasimha here on that sculptured pillars. And in this prakara, you can also see Tidappalli. Tidappalli is actually an enclosure in the southeastern corner of the Nalambalam. It's actually a holy kitchen where nivedyam or food for God is prepared. This is the way to the Tidappalli. And this is that Chuttambalam, and this Tidappalli is seen in that Chuttambalam or that Nalambalam. It's basically the holy kitchen. And here also you can see that this is the way to that Tidappalli. This is the Shrikovil. This is the Pradakshina Patha, which has got that Balikkals, and this is the way to Tidappalli. And another edifice or the structure of the Andhara is Mulayara. It's the term or the structure got that name Mulayara because here that some of the grains are germinated, cereals or pulses are germinated in the Mulayara, and these germinated pulses or the cereals were used for some of the tantric rites. And this Mulayara is also used to keep the utensils, etc. for that is used in the temples. And you can see that the rituals for which tantric rituals, how this germinated pulse were made and used. So for this germination, this place is used Mulayara, is seen in the Andhara. And this Chittambalam also sometimes do have some of the subsidiary shrines, like here you can see that in that also one part there is a shrine in which the Bhadrakali is housed. And this is the innermost mandala. It is known as the Andar Mandala or the first Pragara. It has got a Namaskara Mandapam in front of the Shrikovil, then some Balikkals, then temple wells and Shrikovil. So these are the structures or the edifices seen in the Andar Mandala or the innermost Pragara. Now let us see that first edifice, the Namaskara Mandapam. It is located in front of the Shrikovil. This is the Shrikovil and the Namaskara Mandapam is located in front of the Shrikovil. This can be a closed mandapam or open mandapam with the pillars. The Namaskara Mandapam is a square-shaped pavilion with raised platform. It has a set of pillars and a pyramidal roof. Ceilings and beams may have sculptural and decorative elements. And this Namaskara Mandapam is used by the priests for Sashtanga Namaskaram after the puja. And this is another example of the Namaskara Mandapam. This is an open Namaskara Mandapam. You can see the pillars. And in many of the cases, the Namaskara Mandapam ceilings are decorated with sculptures. And this is an example of plain ceiling of the Namaskara Mandapam. This Namaskara Mandapam does not have any cultural or the floral decorations. But compared to that, this is a very well decorated ceiling of the Namaskara Mandapam. Like we have seen in the Kuttambalam and the Balikkal Mandapam ceiling, here too, you can see the Ashtadikpalas presentation. Here you can see the cardiac signs, the representation of the cardiac signs. And it has got the small brackets showing the Puranic or some that mythological scenes. Palari Mathana, the turning of the Milky Ocean is presented here. Some of the floral decorations, paintings, etc. can be seen in the Namaskara Mandapam. And this is another example of Namaskara Mandapam. This is very highly decorated one. This is from Avittattur Mahadeva Temple in Thrissur district. Another one, Cheranallur in Ernakulam district. So you can see that how beautifully the ceilings of the Namaskara Mandapams of some of the temples made and presented. Another example, these brackets this is from Mariam Kulum Kshetrapala temple, which is located in Kasaragod district. Here you can see the brackets showing the Krishna Leela. Krishna, that straightening that kubja or that the Jodhara. Here he is breaking a bow, and this type of, the scenes from or different anecdotes from the Puranas and Bhagavata, Ramayana, etc. can be seen on that brackets. This Anandashayi Vishnu is shown here. This is as part of the Ramayana story, the beginning of the Ramayana story. This depiction of Anandashayi Vishnu is shown. Here too, you can see that Palari Mathana. And another story is represented here below. This is actually the Ramayana scene. And here another story. So in different tiers, you can see the depiction of the different stories. And in between, there will be that floral and geometrical decorations, paintings, etc. And this is an example of the bracket figure. You can see that Hanuman crossing that ocean to reach the Lanka. So that is shown here. This is from Chenganur Mahadeva temple. And see that how beautifully the beams are decorated of the Namaskara Mandapam. And Venugopala with the cows are shown enchanted by the music of the Venugopala. Even that snakes are very much thrilled by that music of Krishna. And these are some other kind of the decorations, musicians, dancers, and some animals. That elephant is very commonly seen represented in different mandapams. Ganapati is presented as a bracket figure, and here a lady, maybe it's a scene from the Purana, like for the Swayamvara, the lady is ready for Swayamvara. And this shows that Kiratarjuniyam story. This is seen as the bracket of the Namaskara Mandapam of Kalakuta Mahadeva temple, which is located in Thiruvananthapuram. Arjuna's penance is shown here, and Shiva and Parvati as Kirata and Kirati. And this Namaskara Mandapam may have decorated pillars in stone or wood. This is an example of stone pillar with the decorations, wooden pillar. This again wooden pillar. You can see here that mythical scenes. Here that mainly the decorations are there, and the animals, mythical animals also are there. So this much very highly decorated pillars are seen in some of the temples which decorates that Namaskara Mandapam. And this is the Mukha Mandapam. Mukha Mandapam is an attached mandapam to the Shrikovil. And in some temples, especially the square temples, you can see them. And in the temples, on the northeast side of the Nalambalam, you can see a temple well. And this, for the rituals of the temples, the water from this well is used. This is another example of the temple well, which is seen within or in that Andar Mandala. And in this Pradakshina Patha, you can also see the Balikkals, small Balikkals, and they are seen at the orient and cardinal points. They represent the Ashtadikpalas, Saptamatrigas, and other Devatas. And here too, you can see that the representation of the Balikkals in Pradakshina Patha. And this is actually that how these Balikkals are presented on the cardinal directions or the 8 directions. You can see the representation of Indra, Agni, Yama, Nriti, Varuna, Vayu, etc. And apart from that, there are some other deities also represented, like Shasta. He is also presented here not as that main deity Shasta, but as the Bodhanatha. Durga is there, Kubera is there, and the Subramanya. So these, apart from the 8 Balikkals representing that 8 deities, there are 4 more like Shasta, Durga, Subramanya, and Kubera. And besides that, there will be Saptamatrigas with Virabhadra and Ganapati. So that is the scene in a single stone. And another representation of a deity, Nirmalyadhari. This Nirmalyadhari is actually you can see a PA of a close associate of the main deity. And this is where the Nirmalyadhari is presented. It's in the form of Balikkal. In that Shivalinga. It's not actually Shivalinga. It is the representation of Nirmalyadhari, a close associate of the main deity. And these are the Nirmalyadharis of different gods. Like if it is a Vishnu shrine, the Nirmalyadhari is Vishwakasena. Shiva, if it is a Shiva shrine, it is Chandeshwara. Ganesha has got Kumbhodharan as the Nirmalyadhari. Likewise, Subramanya, Dhurtasenan. Ladies do have the female as that Nirmalyadhari, like Durga has got Mundini, Kali, Sheshika, etc. So this Nirmalyadhari is seen on the northern side of the Shrikovil. And now coming to the Shrikovil. The principal shrine or sanctum sanctorum of the main structure of the temple is the Shrikovil. The Shrikovils are built on square, circular, apsidal, or rectangular plans. And these are the plan of the different types of Shrikovils. This is the apsidal or the Gajaprishta type of Shrikovil. And the roof will be according to the plan or the structure of the Shrikovil. And this is the plan of the Shrikovil. This is a circular one, single storied. This is a square one with double story. Apsidal one with 3 stories, 3 talas. This is Ekatala apsidal shrine, Ekatala square shrine, Ekatala circular shrine. Dvitala with 2 tiers. And this is apsidal shaped shrine with Dvitala. Tritala type of shrines. This is apsidal shaped one, and this is a square shaped one with 3 stories or 3 talas. Now about the elevation of the Shrikovil. If you see the elevation of the Shrikovil, it has got adhisthana or that base, which is made normally out of the granite. Then there will be the pilastered wall, then the sloping roof, which is the very typical of the Kerala temples, then the stupi on the top. Now, these are the parts of the adhisthana, Vedika, Bhitti, Stamba, Kuttistamba, etc. are the different parts of the adhisthana and wall of the temple. And this is the pranala, which is seen on the northern side. Pranala is an outlet attached normally to the northern wall of the Shrikovil for the exit of the liquid used for the abhishek of the deity. It can be, the shape of the pranala can be circular, multifaceted, square, or rectangular. I will show you some of the examples of the pranalas. And in almost all cases, the base look like a vyala, like this one, and extremity like a gomukha. And there are different types of the pranalas. So sometimes they may be supported by that the serpent or mythical animals or the dwarfs, Bhutaganas kind of. And you can see here a dwarf playing the shanga, and he supports the pranala. This is mainly used as a decorative element. The Bhuta figures like this one are noted from 14th century on. And these are some other examples of the pranala. Now the sopanam. Sopanam are the flight of steps which leads to the sanctum sanctorum. And the number of steps can be vary from 3 to 5. And there are 2 types of sopanams, one with a direct flight of steps and the other one lateral flight of steps. These are the examples of the direct flight of steps. This has got 5 steps. And this is the lateral flight of steps. You can see that the entry is from the side, not from the front. And there are on the sopanam also, we can see the decorations on the handrails like this one and at the sides. In the sides, you may see sometimes that dancing scene. This is an example of the Kudankutur. And or sometimes you can see the Padmapani, etc. That or some of the deities like what is presented here. So that in many of temples, sopanam rails resemble rolled up tongues of the Vyalis. You can see that the trunk of the Vyalis. They are plain or decorated with the different types of relief sculptures. This is the plastered sopanam. On the sides, you can see the representation of the Padma. Now the Dwarapalas, this when you climb this sopanam, that you reach the main Shrikovil, and guarding the Shrikovil on both sides there will be Dwarapalas or the Dwarapalikas. In case of that Devi temples, you may see that Dwarapalikas, and in the temples of the male gods, you see the Dwarapalas. They have got their own names also. Vishnu temple has got Shankhapani and Chakrapani, Shiva Shulapani and Parashupani. Likewise, Durga has got Jaya Vijaya, the Lady Dwarapalikas. And this is an example of Vishnu temple, and which has got the Shankhapani and Chakrapani on both sides. This is a Shiva temple showing Shulapani and Parashupani as the Dwarapalas or the guardians. And this is from Subramanya temple, Payyanur Subramanya temple. It has got its own Dwarapala. The Devi temples do have Dwarapalikas. You can see here 2 Dwarapalikas guarding the Shrikovil. And this is another Devi temple with the Dwarapalikas. Now the walls of the Shrikovil. So that we have seen that Shrikovil has got a sopanam, and it is guarded by the Dwarapalikas or Dwarapalikas. And the walls of the Shrikovil It's normally of laterite and rarely granite, and it can be plain, plastered, painted, or sculpted. This is an example of the plain wall of the Shrikovil. This is painted with mural paintings. And this is almost plain with some sculptures. And this is another one, the plastered one with the decorative elements. Architectural elements are shown as the decorations. And the pilastered one means the stucco images are there. These are some of the decorative elements seen or the devices seen on the walls. The kutyastambas or the pilaster motifs, torana with makara arches, chala shikharas, kapota pinjaras. These all are the kapota pinjaras are these ones. These all are the technical terms for the decorative devices. So these are the different types of decorations seen on the walls. And some temples do have the mural depictions apart from the sculptures as the bracket figures. Then architectural elements are as the decoration. So that combination of different types of decorations, architectural elements, sculptures, and mural paintings. Mural paintings and architectural elements decorates the Shrikovil of this temple, Titta temple. Another decoration on that Shrikovil wall. See here, this has got a stone panel, vertical panel decorating the Shrikovil wall. Stucco images also can be seen near the ceiling and the wall of Ananda Shayu Vishnu stucco image decorating the wall. And some temples, like especially those who are seen in the Alappuzha, Kottayam, Pattanam district, the entire Shrikovil wall is decorated with the wooden panels like this one. You can see that the depiction of the deities and the mythical scenes decorating this wooden panel. This is another example of wooden decorative panels covering the Shrikovil. This is from Sri Katyayani Devi temple at Kuttamperu. Another example of the panels which are shown on the Shrikovil wall. This is stone decorations. Here also, that wall is decorated with the stone panels. This is from Kantiur Mahadeva temple located in Alappuzha. Murals and the bracket figures. Here, previous one also you get. These are the bracket figures of the Shrikovil. See here. And the Kirada story is depicted as the bracket figure of the Shrikovil. Ravana and Shiva. So in this way also you can see the decorations on the Shrikovils. And on at 4 cardinal directions you may see the representation of 4 deities, like on the northern side Narasimha, western side Vishnu, eastern side Brahma, and on that southern side the Dakshinamurti Shiva, Dakshinamurti. So apart from the bracket figures, you can see that the 4 deities on the Deva Koshta. This is the Dakshinamurti, sorry, this is Vishnu, which is on the Deva Koshta. Now the roof of the Shrikovil can be tiled one or like with the metals. And this roof, the tiles are seen from 16th century onwards and the metal ones 19th century onwards. And at the top of the roofs, you see the stupi. Yeah. This is a pointed finial at the pinnacle of the Shrikovil, and it is considered as a communication device between the mortal and the spiritual worlds. It has got Mahapatma, Kumbha, Nala, lotus bud, etc. as the components. Now, this is the inside of the temple, like the Shrikovil, the Pradakshinapatha, and the Nalambalam, Chittambalam, etc. So we have seen all the important components of it, the Kerala temples, and how the sculptures and murals are presented in this temple, or in which part of the temple they are located. Now let us come out of the temple and goes to the temple pond again. You can see even in the temple pond the decorations, and this is from Madinkulam Kshetrapala temple. You can see the representation of the Ramayana story decorating in the pond, the structure which is seen next to the pond. Now, that is all about the architectural features of the temples of Kerala and how the sculptures are presented on this architectural landscape. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, I want to say a very big thank you to Preeta ma'am for this wonderful section of the aesthetics of Kerala architecture on temples. So you can put your questions on the chat box so that it will be easy for me to read out. First of all, I have a question, like I was very curious to ask about it. Do the earliest structured temples of Kerala belong to any particular sector? And like, does it belong to a particular sect of gods or idols or iconography like that?
Like we do have the Shakta, the Devi temples, Shiva temples, and Vishnu temples, but in all this, as I said earlier, that we don't have any sectarian kind of feeling in these temples. So that you can see the sculptures iconographically, that you see that in the Vishnu temples, the Shiva and the Shakti icons are there, decorating the, as I shown in that slides, in different architectural part of the temples. So we don't have any sectarian feeling, even though we have got the Devi temples, which is predominant, then Shiva and Vishnu temples. Shakta temples, I mean, we have also that Ayyappa temples also. So no sectarian feeling, but and it's not like a watertight compartment also. That people may go to the Shiva temple, they may go to the Vishnu temple also, but preferable deity may be there, but not like like the sects.
Okay, thank you. Ma'am, can you tell about more about from Sarpaka can be considered as the first like temples or like a praying place for in Kerala, or is it the single monolithic kind of temples that is coming on early period? So are they in contemporary or like who come first?
So it's there is a possibility that this Sarpa cows may be the earliest kind of the cows, the earliest mode of worship or the type of worship prevailing in Kerala. And the other type of the structural temples which houses the other deities, main deity may be of that later development. So this could be that the Sarpa cow may be the earliest one.
Okay.
They are mainly initially they started without any superstructures, but later that over that the deity, which is mainly symbolically represented, and or that just like a naga, and over that the temples were constructed, or the structures were constructed, so that they gradually changed into the instead of cows, changed into the temples. Cows are the groves, no, that without
Okay, thank you. We have a question. The question is from Anu Rao. She is asking any specific reason for predominant usage of wood in carvings, unlike other South Indian temples, which is stone.
The reason is the availability of the wood. We have got very too much forest regions, and the wood was available. And the particular kind of architecture is mainly because of the geography and the climate. The heavy rains, because of that thatched kind of conical roofs we do have. And availability, more than the stones, we have got the wood, and so that was used for making this temple. So that is it. That is why we have got that unique style of architecture with predominant use of wood.
It's a question from YouTube by Ramesh R. Does the circular roof originate from Jain temples?
It's not necessary that we don't have any evidence in the circular temples. We don't have any remnants of the Jain beliefs or that Jain temples. So that it's not, there is no connection between this Jainism or the Jain temples and that of that circular Hindu temples. I don't find any connection between.
And does another question is on what are the things, or like, can you please comment on the classification by Sarkar? What are the things that need revisions in this classification system?
Actually, it's very a fluid kind of classification. We have to do more work on that architecture and sculptures, and combining that, we have to reframe it. That is what I believe. But it may take more time. And the problem with the Kerala temples is that for the survey and the documentation, it's very it's like restrictions are there, no, for photographing and taking that measurements and all. So that is one of the main difficulty. Anyway, that my feeling is that we have to rework and we have to look into that, whether it is like the three divisions is interchangeable also, that we have to rework it. That is what I feel.
And what is your thoughts about why, like in South Indian temples, like usually it's a Dravidian school, no? But when you come to Kerala architecture, it's totally different kind of architecture that is coming than the Dravidian. What is your observation on that? What's the difference between a Dravidian temple and like in Kerala temple? It's totally different, even though Kerala is in South India.
See, that's geography mainly. It's a secluded place, only a little bit of opening to the other regions. The availability of the wood, then the climate also, the heavy rains, etc. So that all these matters resulted into a different kind of architecture. But remember, we do have the typical Dravidian type of temples also as some of the components. Like they are seen in the extreme south and the extreme north. So it's because of the geography, then the climate, etc. The Keralites developed a typical kind of architecture for the temples. It's less. It's an enlargement of the traditional houses, actually, like the roofs and all. No, and so that
We have a
is what it
question
is.
from, okay, thank you. We have a question from Alan Tommy. The question is like, can you talk about how renovations take part in temples, how the ancient artists preserved in the renovation?
You are talking of about the present day kind of renovations. The actually in the case of renovations, a lot of money is necessary because most of these structures are wooden ones. They are in a very bad condition in most of the temples, but to in which way it has to be renovated, that has to be thought about. Some of that wooden brackets or the structures were replaced in the later period in the name of the renovation. But if you see that the aesthetically, if you see that it is just very much different. It's not that beautiful as that. To me, that is not that beautiful as that of the early periods. And in the name of the preservation in most of the temples, the painting is done. That the modern paints are applied on these wooden sculptures and all. So what happens is that it hides of actually that features of the sculptures. So that kind of modifications or the renovations, it's not that actually good for that traditional kind of or that our beautiful kind of temples.
Okay, ma'am.
So
We
it
have
has
a
to be
question
more
from
attention has to be done that the old elements should not be altered.
Thank you, ma'am. We have a question from Aishwarya. It was interesting what ma'am said about temples tours. Alappuzha have a specific type of paintings around the Shrikovil. How much role does the direction or specific area of Kerala play in determining these different facets of temple architecture?
See that the Alappuzha, Kottayam regions are not predominant by the murals, but the wooden sculptures. So there, in that Alappuzha, Kottayam and Pattanam region, the style also is different. Maybe that it has got a relation with the patronage, I think. It needs a lot of money, no, to cover the entire Shrikovil wall with the wooden panels. The merchants or the rulers might have given a lot of money for this kind of structures. So that could be the reason why we see in the Alappuzha and Kottayam regions that Shrikovil covered with the wooden panels. That very beautiful wooden panels. Very costly affair, and the patronage might have been that much for building that kind of temples. They are not with the mural paintings, but wooden sculptures. he was asking about that murals, right?
Yeah, I mean about the paintings around the Shrikovil. We're also getting very good comments from YouTube about the educative, insightful session. Okay, there is a question. Could you share more about your fieldwork and some memorable experience from it?
Fieldwork. I did my fieldwork in two phases. One while I was doing my PhD, that was long back, and then recently from 2000 and 2021 onward. In that, while I was doing my fieldwork for the PhD, that time also there was restrictions, mainly for the girls or the ladies, and they were not allowed to enter into some parts of the temples like the Namaskara Mandapam and all. So we have to depend upon the male members of our team. Actually, that my husband helped me for taking the photographs and all. It was not allowed actually, and the restrictions were there. But the point is that apart from for getting that permission from the different Devasam boards, so that most of the temples are under the three Devasam boards. But even after getting that permission from the Devasam board, when we go to a particular temple, we have to get again permission from the particular temple authorities. Plus, there will be devotees also maybe that they won't allow, even the devotees won't allow us to take the photographs or the measurements. So that kind of restriction should not be there, because I will tell you one thing, that while I was doing my PhD, when I proposed the topic to my guide, he said that what is there in Kerala temple? Are there any sculptures in Kerala temple? So this was not known to the outside people, that our Kerala temples do have this many sculptures, and that too very beautiful wooden sculptures. So he asked me whether you have at least 40 sculptures. Then for that PhD thesis work, I included 400 photographs, 400 images, that too selected ones. So the point is that our sculptural wealth is not known to the other people outside Kerala. So I think that the study should be permitted, and there should not be this much restrictions. That is what I feel.
Could you tell us more about the Gana structures in our temples?
Ganas are mainly seen as the decorative elements, mainly as stucco images, which is seen on the topmost portion of the Shrikovil. And then at the base also, there are the depictions of the Ganas. And that too as the decorative elements. Apart from that, Ganas are also seen as the associates of the Shiva in Shiva sculptures also. So these are the two types of, or the two contexts in which the Ganas are seen represented. I think I made it clear. Your question was that,
Yes,
no?
ma'am. Yes. Actually, no. I was saying, does it only seen in a sectarian aspect, like a Shaivite thing, or does it seen in like every? No,
Ganas are basically actually the dwarf images, no? That with sometimes they make some animal faces and all. So that are seen as the decorative element, plus as the associates of Shiva, in both the ways that they are seen.
Thank you. I now welcome Aditi ma'am, our director, for the vote of thanks.
Hello, everyone. Hello again. Preeta ma'am, thank you so much today for that eye-opening lecture. I think just as you said, and thank you, Avni, for that last question on fieldwork, because exactly as you said, even though we live here and we have visited temples, this kind of extensive study of temple sculpture and a kind of breakdown of the different areas of the temple, I don't think it has been comprehensively done in, and this was I think maybe you need 3 hours to do this lecture, actually, not really doing justice to the topic today. But I think that when you said 140 slides, when Avni told me that you have 140 slides, I also thought, what could it be, that there's so much of information. Is there that much sculpture in Kerala? And is there, how come we haven't seen most of it? So it's amazing, and it's quite an eye-opening study. I think if this video can act as an entry point also for many people who can further study this, and maybe even, like you said, one day there'll be more openness towards studying the temple sculpture classifications. So with that, we would like to thank you especially for coming on board for this journal talk and adding to the journal archive, sharing your knowledge so generously, and shining light on another aspect of Kerala history, which actually we haven't looked at much at all yet, this area of Kerala architecture, especially temple architecture. So we're very happy to include this as a topic in our journal talks. Avni and team at Kerala Museum, thank you all for doing a great job as always. And to all our participants who have attended on Zoom and on YouTube, thank you for making this time to spend a little bit of, of course, it is screen time. We can't say that it's not. And usually we would meet at the museum and have a nice chat after the lecture as well. But thank you for making this time to watch and learn something about culture and something about Kerala history, something about the aesthetics of Kerala temples. Lots more to explore. Especially, ma'am, since you have done Pattanam excavations, I'm guessing a lot you can shine light on there as well. So we would love to invite you back whenever you're ready for another talk, sometime soon in the future.
A pleasure.
Yeah. So with that, I think we'll say thank you to you all and good night.